Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Winning at Life podcast. Got another great episode here for you today. We're going to jump into Trump accounts. And turns out there's a good bit involved. It's not really that simple. You know, when the government gets involved, qualified money, deferred money, growth money, multiple parties. Yeah, it's a lot of complications, but I'm going to go through the rules with you and help you with some decision making and maybe to frame this. Because, you know, one of the questions I've been asked is this a retirement account or is this an educational account? We're going to help you with that here today. But I just once again want to thank you for joining us and listening to our show. So be sure to subscribe to Gregory Ricks Total Wealth YouTube channel for on-demand financial content. So that's always really important. So I want to give a shout out to a number of sponsors of the show: J. Heath and Company CPAs, Mortgage Gumbo with Dwayne Stein, W.J. Blanchard Law, New Orleans.MosquitoJoe.com, Spitali's Deli and Catering in Metairie, JJS Audio and Video, Pat Huber with First South Farm Credit, also iHeartMedia. Wouldn't be possible without them. And, hey, a lot of credit goes to Gregory Ricks Total Wealth. Now, once again, be sure to subscribe to Gregory Ricks Total Wealth YouTube channel for on-demand financial content. A new Winning at Life podcast episodes are posted every Wednesday at 3 p.m. You know, one of the things I'm hoping for is we get to do it every Wednesday at 3 p.m. So far, no gaps, and that's what we hope for there on that. I don't know. I heard one famous podcast. He takes the month of July off every year. I don't know. Maybe we might force ourselves into that in the future. But hey, our goal is give you content every week going forward. So once again, new Winning at Life podcast episodes are posted every Wednesday at 3 p.m. So like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification to be alerted whenever we release new content. So basically, this is a deep dive into Trump accounts today. I put my material off to the side. So I have a number of sources that I'm utilizing here today, and I'll help you with that on the back end of that. But after all the anticipation, you know, the big buildup for the Trump accounts, well, as of July 4th, they are here. You know, kind of, you know, I guess they timed it with the celebration of the 250th birthday of our country. But it's also the date when contributions to Trump accounts, the new tax-deferred savings vehicle for children, will start being accepted. There have been a number of developments relating to Trump accounts since we've talked about this on the show recently. So let's kind of talk about types of contributions. There's 4 types of contributions can be made to Trump accounts. The first is a one-time 1,000 seed contribution from federal government for children born between 2025 and 2028. The second is contributions by individuals. That would be, for example, parents or grandparents or on the behalf of a child. And look, this is for calendar years before the child turns age 18. That's an important thing to remember. Total annual contributions for any child from all individuals cannot exceed $5,000. Now, that's going to be indexed for inflation starting in 2028. Individual contributions can be made even for children who do not qualify for the federal government contribution. And that $1,000 contribution does not count towards the $5,000 limit. So from that math, you can see they can end up starting out with $6,000 the first year in that account. Unlike with regular IRA contributions to a Trump account for a particular year must be made by December 31st of that year. So once again, I want to state that to be clear. Unlike with regular IRA contributions to a Trump account, I'm going to repeat it again. Unlike with regular IRA contributions to a Trump account for a particular year must be made by December 31st of that year. So if you're not going to catch it up by throwing it in January following of that year. It's too late. That money's going to count for that next calendar year. So you've got to think of these contributions as calendar year contributions for the children. Number 3, contributions by employers for the children of employees before the year the child turns age 18, and for teenage employees before their age 18 year. These contributions are limited to $2,500 per calendar year. Again, indexed starting in 2028. And they do not count towards the $5,000 annual limit. The employer contribution limit is per employee, not per child. A number of large employers, including Charles Schwab, Chipotle, Comcast, IBM, Intel, and Uber, have committed to making employer contributions. It's a pretty cool option, once again, to have that. Number 4, contributions by tax-exempt organizations or by any government to a targeted group of children, for example, children within a geographic area in years before the child turns age 18. There is no maximum limit on these contributions, and they do not count towards the $5,000 annual limit. One noteworthy example is the commitment made by Michael and Susan Dell Foundation to contribute $6.25 billion to Trump accounts of children's age 10 or younger who live in a zip code with a median family of 150,000 or less. How about that? And there's a new development. If the $5,000 annual contribution limit is exceeded, the excess contribution plus the attributable earnings must be withdrawn. The excess contribution itself is not taxable, but recent Form 5329 draft instructions confirm that the earnings attributed to the contribution are taxed at a 100% rate. Get that, 100% rate. So Trump account custodians will be required to have procedures in place to monitor and enforce the dollar limit. In addition, a child can only have one Trump account at a time. Hopefully, this will minimize any instances of excess contributions triggering the big 100% penalty from that. So we really don't want to make errors on that side. The responsibility for keeping track of all of these contributions will fall on the Trump account custodian. On April 3rd of 2026, the IRS released a draft of a new Form 5498 TA. Each year, the custodian must send a copy of the form to both the IRS and to the person who opened the account. Form 5498 TA will show contributions made during the year, the fair market value of the account as of the prior December 31st, and the total contributions made by parents or other individuals for all years. On April 6th of 2026, the Treasury Department announced it has selected Bank of New York Mellon to manage initial Trump accounts. Bank of New York has partnered with Robinhood to serve as initial Trump account custodian. Gosh, that's a lot. Did you get all that? Might have to get a transcription of that content as well. So next part, let's see what we'll talk about here is establishment of the Trump accounts. Now, one thing, let's see, I wanted to touch on kind of, if we maybe jump in here and give you an executive summary here in the middle of my discussion. So let's look at it from this part of summary that you might want to have a look at. There have been a number of developments relating to Trump accounts since we recently discussed this a few months ago. If the $5,000 annual contribution limit is exceeded, excess contributions plus attributable earnings must be withdrawn. And as I'd already discussed, it's 100% taxable. Before a Trump account contribution can be made, a formal election to open an account must be made by completing IRS Form 4547 and submitting it by hard copy, electronic filing, or through the trumpaccounts.gov website. A separate election, also through Form 4547, is required for someone claiming the $1,000 federal government contribution. If an election to open an account is not made along with the $1,000 election, the person authorized to establish the Trump account must be, and there's an order of priority here, must be the child's legal guardian, parent, adult sibling, or grandparent. The most significant special Trump account rule that applies until the child's age 18 year is that Trump account dollars generally cannot be withdrawn. It's not a savings account where you can go pull money out of. And for federal tax purposes, three types of contributions: the federal government contribution, the employer contributions, and contributions by tax-exempt organizations have no basis and are fully taxable in the year they are withdrawn. On the other hand, contributions by parents or grandparents or others must be after tax and are therefore basis. Did you get all that? That's a good bit right there. So now we'll move back over to establishment of Trump accounts. So before a Trump account contribution can be made, a formal election to open an account must be made by completing IRS Form 4547 and submitting it by either hard copy, electronic filing, or through trumpaccounts.gov. Might be the easiest way is go to trumpaccounts.gov. A separate election, also through Form 4547, is required for someone claiming the $1,000 federal government contribution. This election can only be made by a person who anticipates that the eligible child will be his legal dependent for the year of the election. As of the end of May 2026, the Treasury Department said that over 6 million Trump accounts had been opened. Quite a bit, huh? A lot more to come. This might be good information to share with somebody, that's just had a child born, got a child on the way, planning to have a child. Might want to hook them up with this podcast on this information. A lot of great stuff here. When an election to open a Trump account is being made at the same time an election to receive the $1,000 contribution, the person authorized to make the elections is the same for both. That's really important. However, if an election to open an account is not made along with the $1,000 election, the person authorized to establish the Trump account must be, once again, in order of priority, the child's legal guardian, parent, adult sibling, or grandparent. This means that a grandparent may not be legally able to open up a Trump account for a grandchild unless there is no parent or legal guardian or adult sibling available to do so. Because you know how grandparents are. They want to jump in there like, oh, I want to help. I want to do that. But you can't step ahead of the parents. Or even before that, the legal guardian. So now, after an authorized person establishes a Trump account, the IRS will email that person instructions on how to activate the account, so contributions can be made. The first of those emails were sent out this past May. After the account has been established, tax-free direct rollovers can be made to another approved custodian as long as the entire account balance is transferred. Special rules before the age 18 year. Trump accounts must be traditional IRAs. They cannot be Roth IRAs. However, until the year the child turns age 18, they are subject to special rules that normally do not apply to traditional IRAs. The most significant special rule is that until the child's age 18 year, the Trump account dollars generally cannot be withdrawn. The only exceptions are for excess contributions, rollovers to another custodian, transfers to ABLE accounts, and distributions following the death of a child. Anyone considering a Trump account contribution must be fully aware of this strict lockup period. So that, for all purposes, that account's locked down. Starting on January 1 of the age 18 year, the Trump accounts can be withdrawn for any reason. That's something to understand when you're building up this money, putting money in there and contributing it to them. It's clearly that child's money. In the year that they turn age 18, they're going to have access to that money. Trump accounts can be withdrawn for any reason, although taxes and the 10% early distribution penalty may apply. They can also be rolled over to another IRA or to a company plan that accepts rollovers. The IRS has specifically said that converting Trump accounts to Roth IRAs is permitted, but get this, a Roth conversion would allow for decades of tax-free growth of what could already be a substantial account balance at age 18. However, the conversion would be taxable to the child, and a large part of it could be taxed at the parent's tax rate under the kiddie tax rules. So something to keep in mind there. So once again, starting on January 1, the age of the 18 year, Trump accounts can be withdrawn for any reason, although taxes and the 10% early distribution penalty may apply. They also can be rolled over to another IRA or to a company plan that accepts rollovers. The IRS has specifically said that converting Trump accounts to Roth IRAs is permitted, can be a powerful procedure, but it is a taxable event. A Roth conversion would allow for decades of tax-free growth that could already be a substantial account balance at age 18. So it would be taxable to the child, and a large part of it could be taxed at the parent's tax rate, once again, under the kiddie tax rules. There are also strict investment restrictions on Trump accounts before the age 18 year. Investments are limited to low-cost mutual funds or ETFs that track the S&P 500 index or a similar U.S. stock index. Several of the special pre-age 18 rules are actually beneficial. For example, in contrast to usual IRA contribution rules, a child does not need any taxable compensation in order for a Trump account contribution to be made on his behalf. I think that's a pretty cool rule there. Also, contributions made before age 18 year do not count towards the usual annual traditional IRA contribution limit for 2026 is $7,500 for those under age 50. These rules allow a parent or someone else to make an annual Trump account contribution from the year of birth and also start making traditional or Roth IRA contributions in the same year when the child has taxable compensation. And I'll tell you, that's a good strategy to hire your kid to do a job so that they have taxable income, or if you have a business, they can kind of help out when they can start earning taxable income. So this I like this because they can both have a Trump account going for them, and they could start having a Roth IRA going for them. What this is really about. This is about creating opportunities to start compounding money, starting at the age of 0, so to speak, and get to age 18 and keep it going from there. But one of the things you have to make a decision on is you have to understand that they're going to be an adult as far as the plan's concerned in their year that they turn age 18. They've got access to that money. They can go do anything they want with it. So you got to think about that a little bit and how that might fill into the future. So for federal tax purposes, 3 types of contributions: the federal government contribution, the employer contribution, and contributions by tax-exempt organization have no basis and are fully taxable in the year they are withdrawn. On the other hand, contributions by parents or grandparents or others must be after tax and are therefore basis. Distributions of these contributions themselves are tax-free, but earnings are subject to tax and possible 10% early distribution penalty. Pro rata rule, which allocates basis when somebody with both pre-tax and after-tax IRA funds receives a distribution, applies to Trump accounts. However, when applying that rule, all other IRA funds are disregarded. So a portion of Most of Trump account distributions will be taxable and possibly penalized if distributed before age 59 and a half. Most states will tax Trump accounts the same way they are taxed for federal taxes. However, at least 7 states have announced that they will not recognize Trump accounts as IRAs, but will instead tax earnings annually. Others may follow. Residents of those non-conforming states will face having taxes on Trump accounts calculated one way for federal taxes and another way for state taxes. So what I'm going to share with you here is I'm running out of time on this episode, so we're going to pick this up on the next Winning at Life podcast, part 2 in that case. So once again, visit our website for upcoming events. That's at GregoryRicks.com. Reach out to the firm to schedule a visit. If you're wanting some help with Trump accounts, you've got some other questions, financial questions, maybe want to start the process of creating an income plan, help with investment management, call the office 504-832-9200, email info@GregoryRicks.com. That gives you the website too, by the way. The website is GregoryRicks.com. We offer in-person and virtual meetings. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as more financial content. And also share this with your friends. Share this with your kids. This is great information, and we want to start building wealth and be an advocate for your friends and your family and your coworkers and help them get on the path to building great wealth. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well for more financial content. Thanks for watching today. Tune in next week to the next Winning at Life podcast. See y'all soon.